So you can use both methods again, either one that you prefer, but instead of a 2 by 2 box, we're going to do a 2 by 3 box. Okay, so it's going to be more of a rectangle. So you're going to have 2 rows and you're going to have 3 columns. Now, you don't have to use the box method. I'll show you the double distributive method in a minute. But your first binomial, you're going to put x. And I have decided, I think it's better if you put the sign in front of your number. So that is x plus 3. Okay? And on the top, we're going to put our trinomial as x squared minus x minus 9. All right? With the box method, you are going to multiply this x by every term at the top of the column. So this is x times x to the second. I'm going to do x times negative x. And this is going to be x times negative 9. All right. So x times x to the second, you add your exponents. You keep the base, that's an x, and you add the exponent. So 1 plus 2 gives you 3. X times a negative x, again, this is going to be a negative. You keep the base, add the exponents, negative x squared. And the last one, x times negative 9, that's going to be a negative 9x. Now, if you are multiplying your powers correctly, they should decrease in degrees. So notice you have x to the third, you have an x to the second, and then you have an x. So that should be happening each time. Okay? All right, so then you go to the second row. We have a 3. That's going to be 3 times your x squared. And then back to 3 again, times at the top, your negative x. And finally, 3 times your negative 9. So putting that together, you have 3x squared, a 3 times negative x. You could put a 1 there, and that is negative 3x. And 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. Okay? Any questions about how I got those? And again, you notice you have an x squared, you have an x to the first, and then you don't have any x's. But if you look at these diagonals, you will see that these are your like terms. These are your like terms that are circled. Okay? So as I write these down, I need to combine those like terms. That means I am adding them together. So I have x to the third minus x squared minus 9x. And I kind of do this vertically. Even though I have done the box method, I just write that whole first line. I write that all down. Okay? Next, as I go to the second row, I have 3x squared. So I have to move that over one space. So that's going to go over here under the 3x squareds. Then I have a negative 3x, and I line up those x's, and finally minus 27. All right? And we're going to add these together. So I have an x to the third. I have a negative 1x squared plus 3x squared. You only add the coefficients. So that gives me 2x squared. Here you have a negative 9 plus a negative 3x. That gives you minus 12x. And finally, we have minus 27. So this is your final answer. X to the third plus 2x squared minus 12x minus 27. So it's just like multiplying a binomial times a binomial, but you have one more term. Okay? Any questions on that? All right, let's go to the top of the next page. This time, I am going to use the double distributive method. Does anybody in here prefer double distributive method? Or does everybody like the box method? You're not sure because you didn't see it. You like box? How many like the box method? Does anybody prefer double distributive? No? Well, then we'll just do one more with the box. Okay? See if you can do it with me. And let's do letter C. Okay? Letter C. So this is a binomial times a trinomial. So it's going to be a little bit longer box. You're going to put the binomial on the side. So that's going to be p minus 1. And on the top, 2p to the second plus 3p plus 4. Okay? And then we're going to multiply. So here we go. In my first box, I have p times 2p to the second. I have p times 3p. And I have p times 4. I like to just get that all written down. You don't have to do that. After a while, you can just multiply and say, this is going to be 2. Let me see if I can do this a little. This is going to be 2p to the third. Remember, you add the exponents. You have 2 p's being multiplied here times another one. That's 3 p's being multiplied. The next one is 3p to the second. And over here, that's not p to the fourth. That is 4p. Going down to the bottom, I'm going to take negative 1 times 2p to the second, negative 1 times 3p, and negative 1 times 4. And that gives me negative 2p to the second, negative 3p, and negative 4. And let's circle our like terms. So when I add them together, I have 2p to the third. And I'm going to just write this whole first thing. 2p to the third plus 3p squared plus 4p. On the bottom, I start with negative 2p squared minus 3p minus 4. I add these together, and I get 2p to the third. 3 plus negative 2 gives me 1p to the second. And here, a positive 4 plus a negative 3. 4 minus 3 is 1p and minus 4. That's in standard form, going from greatest to least. And I have combined my like terms. Any questions on that? Okay, do you think you guys could do that on your own? Yeah? You guys are very quiet. It's a lot of notes today. I know, a lot of notes. All right, we need to try to get through these next 4 problems. So here we go. Example 1, the square of a sum. All right, says x plus 6, that quantity, squared. If I were to write this out, this means x plus 6 times x plus 6. That's what it means, okay? So we are going to do a box that's a 2 by 2, all right? So on the left-hand side, x plus 6. On the top, x plus 6. All right? So here we go. First in the box, I have the blue x times the green x. And I have the blue x times 6. All right, so then when I find the answer, x times x gives me what? X squared, because that's an x to the first and an x to the first. That's x squared. X times 6 is 6x. Down here at the bottom, now I have 6 times my x, and I have 6 in blue times the 6 in green. Well, 6 times x here is 6x, and 6 times 6 is 36. Your like terms should have the same variable ending and will be at the back. Guys, you need to put the phones away, please. So when I add these together, put that first whole row down, x squared plus 6x. Then write the second row, and remember, you're going to move one over to the right, so add together your 6x plus 36. And as you put these together, you get an x squared. Remember, only put together your coefficients. 6 plus 6 gives you 12x, and then plus 36. And that's your final answer. Now, I want you to look at something here. We had x plus 6 quantity squared, okay? And our answer was x squared plus 12x plus 36. Okay? I'm looking at this right here. As you look at this, there is a shortcut method instead of doing this whole thing. Okay? Is everybody taking a look at the Promethean board? Take a look. You take, and if you notice, you take this first term, x, and you raise it to the second power. That gives you x to the second power. If you take the last term, 6, and you raise that to the second power, that means 6 times 6, which is also 36. Does anybody see how we could get 12x from these numbers that are right there? Does anybody see? What would you do? And times x, right? You take all three of these things. So you would take x times the 6 times the 2, and that gives you 12x as your middle term. So this only works for a binomial. That means a 2-term polynomial that is raised to the second power. Okay? So let us take a look and see if that's going to work over here. All right? So I'm going to rewrite this. So this is quantity 2x plus 9, and it only works when you are adding. to the second power. Okay? Now, you also have to be careful and remember your exponential rules. So my first term, okay, of the answer is going to be the first term here, 2x squared. And you have to square both things. If you remember, this is like the spider. So the 2 goes on the x, and the 2 also goes on this 2. So that is going to give you 2 to the second power, x to the second power. And 2 squared is 4x squared. So that is your first term that you raised to this second power. Okay? The middle term, okay? The middle term is going to be your first term, the first term, which is 2x, times your second term, which is your 9, times the 2, which is your squared part. Okay, so that's times 2. When you put this all together, 2 times 9 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. And you have an x. So that's 36x. So that is your middle term. Okay? I'm trying to move this over. It's not working very well. And finally, your last term, can anybody see what that's going to be? Is going to be that last term raised to the second power. So that is 9 to the second power. What is 9 squared, or 9 to the second power? 81. So if you put this all together and put addition signs in between, your final answer is 4x squared plus 36x plus 81. Now, if you don't remember that, you can still use the box method and say 2x plus 9 times 2x plus 9. And you would get 4x squared, you get an 18x, you get an 18x here, and you get 81. And your answer would be 4x squared plus 36x plus 81. You get the same answer. But if you can remember, it's the first term squared plus the first term times the second term times 2 plus the last term squared. That can get you your answer also. Okay? All right. Let's try. That has to be when you are adding. Has to be when you are adding. Okay? All right. We have one more type of problem. So let's look down at example 4. So we have quantity z plus 5 times z minus 5. Look alive, people. Come on. Should we do some calisthenics? Calisthenics, like jumping jacks, jog in place, wake up? No? Okay. All right, so this is a binomial times a binomial. They have the same terms, but the first one is a plus and the second one is a minus. All right? So here we go. We're going to do the box first, and I'm going to tell you there's another shortcut for this one. So first off, we have z plus 5. And in the top one, we have z minus 5. Okay? All right. I'm going to write these down, but maybe you don't need to. So in my first row, I have z times the z above, and I have z times negative 5. What is z times z? Z squared, right? We're French, z squared. What is z times negative 5, Crystal? What's z times negative 5? Negative 5z, right? All right, and then we have 5 times the z above, and that just gives you 5z. And then you have 5, the positive 5, times, that's a negative 5. So 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. You've got your like terms on the diagonal. Okay. So when I put this together, I put the first row, z squared minus 5z. Don't forget, when you write the second row, move it over one spot, and then you will have 5z minus 25. If I'm adding these together, I get z squared. Oh my goodness, what happens here? Negative 5z plus 5z, they are going to cancel. So there is no z term there. And then I have minus 25. Good morning. So this is your final answer. Z squared minus 25. And there is a shortcut for this also. So if I have z plus 5 times z minus 5, okay, you are going to look at and take the first term and square it. Please stay with me. Write this down. Please write this down. The first term, and you are going to square it. So that is z squared. Okay? You are going to take your last term, 5, your last term, and you are going to square that. So that is 5 squared, which is actually 25. So we have z squared and we have 25, and you just put a minus sign in between. Okay? That's the shortcut. But one of them you have to have a plus sign when you multiply, multiplied by the same terms with a minus sign. All right. So, homework. We are going quick on the homework here. Homework number 3 is due tomorrow. Due tomorrow. Okay? Got through a good amount of these. I did record this, so I will upload it. Also, I do have all the notes. I do have all the notes uploaded now. Okay? So, don't forget, you should be doing homework 1, 2, and 3. Allie and Lennon, if you guys are here, maybe we'll try maybe the skills check tomorrow. Okay? And don't forget, you also have the weekly Canvas activity for 1027. That is 10 points. All right? easy 10 points. Just answer the questions as best you can. That gets you an automatic 10. And test is next Friday. And Allie, in case you didn't recall, we do not, or you guys are not coming to school next Tuesday. That is going to be an e-learning day, but you have classes with us for like a half hour, starting at 8. Okay? All right.